Srdečně vás zdravíme tady ve vysílání Inovace Republiky. Velice slavnostní rozhovor a je mi velkou ctí, že se můžu setkat s jeho excelencí velvyslancem státu Irán tady v Etiopii. Ty důvody k otázkám tak je celá řada, ale vybrali jsme pár otázek, které se pokusíme položit.
So welcome here at the Iranian embassy, and it's a great honor for me that I can meet the ambassador of Iran to Ethiopia and the African Union and to ask some questions.
My pleasure. You are welcome.
Tou první otázkou se hodně hovoří o BRICSu. Tak co BRICS může znamenat pro svět a co může znamenat členství Iránu ve společenství BRICS?
Our first question is about the BRICS. Iran joined BRICS recently. What can the BRICS bring to the world economy and politics? And what do you expect? How it will change the situation in Iran and the position of Iran in the world, the membership in the BRICS?
Thank you very much for this important and interesting question. First of all, I should clarify that BRICS bloc is not for confrontation. It is for cooperation. This is first. This is our understanding. Secondly, look at the GDP of the BRICS country, even before the expansion. The BRICS members' GDP is more than G7 GDPs. That means the BRICS will play an important role in the future financial and economic system of the world. BRICS, with its own financial system, banking system, such as a new development bank, which belongs to BRICS and located in Brazil, with its financial system known as BRICS Pay, and also by increasing the use of national currencies and digital currencies, will try to open a new atmosphere for the global trade and economy. That would for sure put an end at the monopoly of the Western domination and also US dollars domination on the world financial system, for sure. BRICS, of course, will help Iran in a way, because by the membership of Iran and joining Iran to BRICS, Iran will find more opportunity for its economic and financial development, for sure, and also that would help Iran, from the other hand, to more jeopardize the unfair, unjust unilateral sanctions by United States against Iran. But Iran itself, by its energy resources, gas and oil, energy resources from one hand, by its geographical important strategic location in the crossroad of the north-south, east-west corridors, energy corridors, and trade corridors. In addition, by its independent policies in the region and in the world, will give or offer more weight to BRICS. This is the contribution of Iran to the BRICS. From the other hand, please keep in mind or pay attention that BRICS countries, with the joining of the new members, make BRICS the largest market for energy production and energy consumption as well at the same time. Then I can conclude that BRICS will diversify the monopoly, unilateral financial and economic system of the world, and would provide a new opportunity to make our world in the near future more balanced, more fair, more just. Then that would be the more important contribution of the BRICS to the global financial and economic system, and will result, as I said, to the better developmental ecosystem for whole world.
Thank you. The other question, jaká je tradice spolupráce vlastně Iránu s Etiopií a případně Iránu s Africkou unii, s celou Afrikou? Jaký je potenciál té spolupráce?
We are here in kind of capital of Africa, in Addis Abeba. So what are the traditions of cooperation of Iran with Africa and in particular with Ethiopia?
First of all, I should admit that because of the geographical proximity, Iran and Africa as a whole, as a continent, we enjoy long-standing traditional historical relation from the centuries. We used to increase our ties in both trade and commerce from one hand and cultural exchange from the other hand through the history. When Islam came, Islam also consolidated our contact and relation with Africa. And of course, during the colonial time, Iran, as an independent country, always was supporting the African struggles against colonialism. Both in League of Nations and United Nations organization, Iran always supported the African cause and African goal to get rid of the colonial system. These are the main important ties and cooperation between Iran and Africa. Recently, after the Islamic Revolution of Iran, because of the independent policy of Iran from one hand and its goals and cause to fight against the colonialism, as well as racism, as well as Iran's revolution added a new opportunity and created further atmosphere to strengthen the cooperation between Iran and Africa as a whole. Recently, our new government, new administration, paid more attention to develop further Iran's relation with the African countries. We established a body, a special body, at the level of vice presidents, the highest possible level in our administration, dedicated to develop Iran's relation and cooperation with the African continent and African countries. This is as a whole. But bilaterally, regarding the relation of Iran and Ethiopia, as both Iran and Ethiopia were among the ancient civilization, Persian Empire in Iran, Aksumite Empire here in Ethiopia, we used to have long-standing historical relation from the early beginning, and not only in terms of trade or cultural exchange, we used even to have religious cooperation even before Islam, and also sort of military cooperation again during the past centuries. Nowadays, there is lots of similarities between Iran and Ethiopia. When I appointed as ambassador in Ethiopia, it was my first assignment to an African country. I noticed that there are lots of commonalities and similarities between Iran and Africa. First, we both were among the ancient civilization. Secondly, we both were always independent and never been colonized. Thirdly, both Iran and Ethiopia are the true symbols of pluralism because of the diverse culture. I mean, cultural, ethnic, linguistic, religious diversity, both in Iran and Ethiopia. And apart from that, both Iran and Ethiopia are members of the South-South Cooperation, Non-Alignment Movement, G77, and recently we both joined BRICS. There are many new opportunities for further cooperation between Iran and Ethiopia. We established our bilateral diplomatic relation, new diplomatic relation in 1950. And our embassy in Addis Abeba was Iran's second embassy in whole African continent after Cairo, Egypt. We established our second embassy here in Addis Abeba. In 2023, we celebrate the 73rd anniversary of establishment of new diplomatic relation between Iran and Ethiopia. During these 7 decades of relation, we managed to sign around 40 different agreements, memorandum of understanding in many different fields and opportunities to make a legal base for our mutual cooperation. I would just add one more thing, that apart from being multi-cultural and plural in the internal society of both Iran and Ethiopia, in the international arena also, both Iran and Ethiopia, we both strongly believe in multilateralism in the international relation. That is another, in fact, opportunities or field of cooperation between Iran and Iran and Ethiopia, in the not only in bilateral but also in international cooperation as well. And we are really proud of this very important, positive cooperation with none of or lack of single negative point in our bilateral relation, but full of positive cooperation in many different fields.
Svět se mění. Jak se podle vás změní svět v blízké budoucnosti?
Yeah, we see the world is changing now. We live in a period of changes. How do you see the world changes in the near future? What will happen in the near future in the world?
It's to be honest, it's an hard question, but you know, the big changes in the world always happen gradually, and it is time-consuming, the radical big changes. But nowadays, due to the very accelerated changes in the technology, means of communication, we are facing a very quick and fast change in every aspect of our life, including the global field of the global issue in the world. That is my impression, first impression about the global change. I cannot predict exactly how would looks like the world in near future, but I can say that for sure, definitively, the face of the world will be completely different in near future, will be completely different than what is it actually or currently. I believe that from in terms of development and economic, for sure, the world will be much more diverse, much more balanced, much more fair. BRICS is one of the examples. We have already discussed about that. the world is going to improve multilateralism not only in politics but also in development and in finance and economic as well. Then that would be more balanced in terms of economy and development. In terms of social, cultural life, my belief is that with the huge advance in the communication means, social media, we will probably witness a more convergence world in terms of culture and society. From a security and political point of view, my belief is that world is approaching toward a multilateral system. Again, will help for further justice, fairness, and balance in the world. Then let's hope, instead of prediction, let's hope that the future world will be more fair, more balanced, more developed, more just, and better place to live for humankind.
Bohužel války nám přibývají, války stále přibývají. Co můžeme udělat pro zachování světového míru?
We see that there are more and more wars in the world, especially now the recent war. What can we do to bring peace back to the world?
That is also an important, crucial question. I believe our globe, the world, is consisted of different societies, different nations, different people. But the milestone or benchmark of every society are the individuals. We as the human being, we are the benchmark of every society. Based on that, I believe the first prerequisite for peace is ethics and morality. But it's not enough to guarantee peace in our globe. I believe that the ignorance is the main source of fear among humankind. When we don't know each other, we fear from each other. With the cognition, we can understand each other better, and better understanding will result in mutual or better respect. And more understanding, more respect will facilitate to live in peace, to decrease our fear. That is my understanding. Then, apart from ethics and morality, we need cognition and understanding and mutual respect. But again, it's not enough. To have more peace and to avoid more war, the main topic or main element, to my belief, is justice. The main cause of most of the wars in the world is injustice. With more justice, more fairness, we will witness less wars and quarrels and disputes. I believe that justice by itself is not again enough. To guarantee justice, durable justice, we need laws, rules, and regulation. But which kind of rules and regulation and law? We need sort of universal laws, rules, and regulation. But please pay attention, there is a misunderstanding by the word universal. What does it mean? Mostly people interpret universal means one model imposed to whole world, to whole globe, which is completely wrong. Universal values, universal laws and rules and regulation is not one model, one role, one value to be imposed to all. No. Being universal is paying respect and taking in account all the diversities between the individuals as well as the different societies, different nations, by their own culture, religion, their own values, traditions. That is the correct meaning of being universal. Then we need sort of law and rules and regulation, universal one, which take in account all that differences. That would help much more to have a better world with less wars and disputes and more peace and security. But again, coming to the current political or security system in the world, we are witnessing that unfortunately United Nations Security Council, they fail to guarantee peace and security in our world because it is an old system, belong to the past. It is the result of the conquerors of the Second World War. Then, apart from all that, I said, we need a serious reform in the security, United Nations and also Security Council system. Another important things I would add and not to forget is the threat of the weapons of mass destruction. Seems the world failed to put an end to these weapons of mass destruction, which is the biggest threat to the peace and security in the world. Then, starting from ethics and morality in the individual level, we need lots of things, ending to the serious and real crucial reforms in the United Nations and Security Council system to guarantee more peace in our world and to avoid more war.
Další otázkou se nabízí, že Irán známe jenom z jednoho pohledu, ale přitom je to velice multináboženská země. Jaká různá náboženství a komunity jsou vlastně v Iránu?
The image of Iran is rather one-sided in Europe. There is interesting questions. We know, you mentioned it, that Iran is multicultural, multi-religious society. Which religions are present in Iran and how they cohabitate?
An interesting question. I used to work and live in Europe for many years. I faced such a question many times. First of all, I should admit that basically Iranians are peaceful people, peaceful nation. There are some reasons behind. One, Iran is located in the crossroad of the civilization. we used to get familiar with different nations, different culture, different religion, different people through the history. And we learned how to deal with them, how to live with them. This is one reason. The second reason, again, go back to Iran's long-standing history, civilized and cultural background. The Persian Empire was ruling wide territories with different nation, different culture, different religion. Through that rule of Persian Empire, again, we learned how to live in peace with different nations who were part of the Persian Empire, with their own culture, their own religion, their own rituals, tradition. That is the historical background and reason for the peacefulness of Iranian as a basic reason. Islam also helped Iran and Iranian endorse this habit of Iranian by its teaching. Islam comes from the word silm. Silm in Arabic means peace.
Silme.
Silm.
Silme.
Peace. Islam endorsed Iranian habits to live in peace, to respect the others. That was further consolidation for this peacefulness. Currently, although Iran officially is an Islamic Republic, this is the official name of the system after Islamic Revolution, and more than 95% of the Iran's inhabitants are Muslim. But not recently, through the history, we used to work in a peace and have a peaceful coexistence with Christians, Jews, Zoroastrian, and many other linguistic, cultural, ethnic minorities. After Islamic Revolution and establishment of the Islamic Republic, to institutionalize this habit of Iranian within our constitution, we put some articles to guarantee forever the right of the religious minorities in Iran. I can say that there is a sort of positive discrimination in Iran, positive discrimination toward the minorities, toward the other religions. Why positive discrimination? Look at the electoral system in Iran. First of all, the Christian, Jewish, Zoroastrian, religious minority, they have their own guaranteed seat in our parliament. What does it mean, the guaranteed seat? It's not depend on the majority. These minorities, they will have their own seat, even if they have no majority. This is a guaranteed seat for them. And also that means the positive discrimination in favor of that minorities. What does it mean? According to the electoral law of Iran, every 150,000 Muslim has right for one seat in the parliament. 1,500 Muslim, one seat. In terms of minorities, 5,000 Jewish minority has their own seat. compare 5,000 Jews, 150,000 Muslims. This is a positive discrimination in favor of the minorities. In case of Christians, also the same. We have 300,000 Christian minority in Iran. They have 3 or 4 guaranteed seats in the parliament. And for Zoroastrian, the same. Then, there is a peaceful coexistence between the other religion with the Muslim people of Iran. The Christian, the Zoroastrian, the Jews, they have not only their own seat in the parliament, but also they have their synagogues, their churches, their temples, even their sport clubs, their medias. And they are completely free to apply their rituals, to preserve their traditions, their culture. Despite the specific item related to their own religion, for the rest, there is no single difference between Muslims and Christian or Jews or Zoroastrian. And also, keep in mind, the oldest available written human rights charter is the Cyrus the Great Cylinder, or Cyrus the Great Human Rights Charter, which was written around 600 years before Christ. This is the first available human rights charter, which is written by the Iranian. We are proud of that.
I have another question. Here in Ethiopia, we see that in one family, you easily find Muslims and Christians marrying Muslims, vice versa. Actually, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, His Excellency Abiy, is a good example because his father is Muslim, his mother is Christian Orthodox, and he himself is a Protestant. How is the situation in Iran?
Yeah. In Iran, it is a little bit different because here the Christian and Muslim are maybe half-half. But in Iran, I say more than 95% are Muslims and less than 5% are Christian, Jewish, Zoroastrian, and others. For sure, we have such kind of intermarriage as well. And it depends on the individual's own decision. Individual's own decision. They can marry from the different faith based on their own decision and based on their own desire. There is no legal prohibition. There is no legal prohibition. It is possible in some remote area, in some tribal settlement. Some are very strict, but nowadays in modern lifestyle, with the open mind people have, it doesn't matter Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Zoroastrian. It is possible, it is not forbidden in Iran. But if you ask me how many, and if you ask me to precisely to show you one or two, I don't know. I don't know. Because of the minorities, the religious minorities in Iran are not so big, so huge. But apart from intermarriage, as I said, there is really a positive discrimination in favor of the minorities. The most important question or issue is that, unfortunately, Western societies know less about the reality of the Iranian societies. Most of the media, mainstream media, Western, I can say Zionist or Masonist dominated medias, unfortunately, don't cover this aspect of the Iranian civilization, culture, society. And sometimes, unfortunately, for a political motive, they make misinformation or disinformation regarding the reality of the Iran's society.
Jste dlouho žil v Evropě, v Evropské unii, tak jak pohlížíte na vývoj Evropy a vůbec změny v Evropě?
You spent most of your time in Europe, in the European Union. How do you see the future of our continent and of the European Union?
Controversial question. Instead of predicting the future of Europe, if you allow me, I would like to express a little bit my feeling about Europe. May help you to get your final conclusion. Regarding Europe, the first thing I would mention is to differentiate between the officials and politicians from one hand, and the public and population, people from the other hand. Mm-hmm. In terms of people and population, I can say again that to the best of my understanding, unfortunately, most of European people are brainwashed by kind of medias. They are victims of such a orientation, which is managed by the politicians and officials and through the medias. That is my understanding. Coming back to the officials and authorities and politicians, I can say that they are not, mostly are not independent. Mostly are followers of the United States policies in the world. There is no independent policy, European independent policy. There is no European independent security. There is no European even independent culture, especially the policy in terms of politics. Most authorities, officials, and politicians are followers to the United States. Okay. Through this words and sentences, I can say that I noticed sort of, excuse me, please, to be honest and to speaking frankly, that is my understanding. And I think most of people, or at least lots of people, share this understanding and this belief that although the area of the colonialism has passed, but many of European politicians and officials still kept their colonial mindset. We can witness, even in the 21st century, sort of racism and discrimination in the mindset of the current European politicians and authorities. Look at what said Joseph Borrell recently. Europe is a garden and the rest of the world are jungle. Isn't it a racism? Discrimination? Dehumanization of the other world or rest of the world? That becomes from the colonial mindset. Most of European politicians, they are very egoist. Always they try to teach the other people. They consider themselves as a teacher, as a master. not only to manage, to dirige, to the other people, but also train them and give them lessons. What about? Lessons about democracy, about human rights, about freedom of speech. To be honest, all that are big lies from my point of view. I will explain very shortly how they are lies and ridiculous. Democracy, what does it mean, democracy? To rule people by the people. Okay. Iranian people should be ruled by Iranian people or not? Chinese by the Chinese people or not? They have to respect their own tradition, religious values. You have no right to impose your values on the other people. This is the real meaning of the democracy. But you try to teach your own democracy to the others. That is not fair. United States and Western coalition, they came to Afghanistan, to Iraq, to Middle East for the sake of democracy. Look what happened after 2 decades. Are they established and consolidated democracy in the Middle East? What in Africa? If you are democratic and you try to teach democracy, why most of your allies are dictatorships? What is the connection between dictatorship and democracy? Parliament and election are 2 milestones for democracy. I know. I spoke with some even president in Europe. I said, according to your democratic system, whenever you need it, you as president or prime minister, you can dissolve the parliament, isn't it? He said, yes, that is my right, according to the democracy. I said, please, give me a minute. In Iran, Islamic Republic of Iran, which are accused not to be democratic by you, Western and European. In Iran, we have free and fair election. We have a parliament. No one, neither president nor the highest religious leader of the country has no right to dissolve the parliament, which is elected by the vote of the people. Are we more democratic than you or not? Most of people in Europe don't know about that. This is regarding the democracy. Come back to the human rights. It is much more ridiculous. Look at the current situation in Gaza, in Palestine. What is going on? Are they human beings or not? According to the Joseph Borrell statement. We are witnessing thousands of children, women, elderly, patients in the hospital, every day bombarded by your ally in the region. No one, no president, no prime minister, no officials, no politicians, no officials, authority, you didn't condemn this atrocity against humans. How you can dare talk about human rights? None of you condemned this atrocity against human being. To be honest, it is shameful. It is shameful. You have no right to teach us democracy, human rights. Let's talk about freedom of speech. If is it true, why not ordinary people, but the scientists, the academician, why they cannot ask questions and make research about the Holocaust. They have no right to speak about the Holocaust. From the other hand, you give permission to burn Holy Quran in Europe soil, land. You don't, from the other hand, you prohibit to raise Palestinian flag. This is another example of the freedom of speech. That is my general feeling about Europe, but please pay attention. I made differentiation between people and the authorities, officials, and politicians. My ending phrase in this regard is that human rights, freedom of speech, democracy are the most valuable universal values, really universal. But unfortunately, West, including United States and Europe, most of Europe, they misused these universal values. They devaluated these values from its universal values to a naive, simple political instrument. I can say to the Western and United States politicians and authorities, you tried the human rights. By decreasing its universal values to the low level of political instruments, by double standards, by applying double standards. Look at what was going on in Ukraine and what is going on in Gaza, in Palestine. That is a clear example of double standard. I can't believe you are the real, the true defender of human rights, freedom of speech, and democracy. I hope with the expansion of the social media, by the new wave and new means of communication, European people will be freed from the unilateral monopole domination of the United States, Zionist and Masonist media, to understand the other societies as they are and to know them better and to respect as a result each other better, to understand each other better, and to create, to make a better world for all of us.
Když váhám, jakou otázku položit, to je síla. Ale možná se zeptám, my jsme zažili v Evropě vlastně něco jako válku. Něco jako válečný stav, obrovský strach, úplný konec lidských práv v mnoha směrech, potlačení humanismu, a to byl COVID-19. Tak jak vy koukáte na tu situaci s COVID-19 a jak vlastně COVID-19 prožil Irán?
We went through kind of war in Europe recently, and that was the situation with COVID-19, when our freedoms were very much limited. We were not allowed to travel even from one district to another district, and we lost a lot of freedoms, and probably it was even a pretext to remove the freedoms from us. How was the situation? How did you live COVID in Iran? How did you live through this difficult period?
What's názor na ten COVID? Vlastně jako
and your opinion about the COVID epidemic, maybe the reasons, the real reasons. We would be very curious to hear from you about it.
Yeah. I'm not a scientist. For sure, I cannot speak about the reasons or what was behind or what is important that we all, as a globe, as a world, we faced such a pandemic. How it was managed in Iran, I can say that likewise other nations, other countries, we also started to apply the restriction, many restriction for the movement, for gathering, to prevent this pandemic regardless of its origin or reasons. That was the first action taken by the Iranian authorities to manage this pandemic. Much more restriction and rules, new rules and regulation to prevent the pandemic. This was the first reaction from Iran. Secondly, we started to import more medical equipment, medicine, and related items, because at the beginning nobody knows what will happen in future in terms of this pandemic. But unfortunately, we faced lots of problems because of the unilateral, unfair sanctions imposed against Iran by the United States and some its Western allies. We faced lots of problems. We obliged to import vaccine from China, from Russia, but at the same time, because during last 4 decades, at least, we used how to deal with the political pressure, economic sanctions. We are a master of turning the threats to the opportunities. We used the threat of the COVID to turn it again to another opportunity. Besides importing vaccine from China and Russia, we started research to to produce our own domestic vaccine against COVID. In 1.5 years, we succeed to produce our own vaccine against COVID. And you know that in the world, whole world, there were only few countries. They produced vaccine against COVID. And proudly, I can say Iran was one of those few countries. We produced and generated our own vaccine in less than 1.5 years. I don't know if you know or not, from scientific point of view, there is 3 types of vaccine based on their prerequisite or precursors. There are 3 types of vaccine. Some countries produce only 1 type, some maximum 2 types. In Iran, we produce all 3 types of vaccine against COVID. And from the beginning of the 3rd years, at the end of the 2nd years of this pandemic, we started, all tests finished and we started to inject our own vaccine for our people. That is the way we faced this pandemic. Furthermore, we donated from our domestic vaccine to other nations as well, in the region and some countries in Africa. That is the way we faced and managed COVID pandemic in Iran. Now, we were among the first, not the first, but among the first countries overcome the COVID pandemic.
Možná ještě doplňující otázka, jestli znáte tu vizi, globální vizi COVID-19, the Great Reset, velký reset.
Yeah, in connection with the COVID-19 epidemic, people speak about the so-called Great Reset. Have you heard about it? Or, do you have any opinion about it?
A vzniklo to na půdě Global Economic Forum.
And this global reset idea came at the meeting of the Global Economic Forum.
To be honest, I have no idea about that. Yeah. I have no, I have my own idea, but it's better not to talk about that.
Okay.
Forgive me about that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. If any other question, feel free to pose.
Okay. Okay. A možná teda poslední otázka, jenom tak tím, že jste pobýval v Evropě, jaký máte pohled na Českou republiku nebo Československo?
And the last question, you were posted in Poland, which is our big neighbor. What do you know about the Czech Republic, and what is your view of the Czech Republic?
Yeah. First of all, I have to request your forgiveness for being so frank and honest.
It's good.
To speak frankly, to answer your question, your hard or harsh question, very frankly. I try to speak not only as a diplomat or as an ambassador to keep some reservation. No. I try to speak from the bottom of my heart as an individual, of course, in my official post as well. Then forgive me if sometimes my word was harsh or hard. I didn't judge the European people or Western people. Again, I emphasize that there is a big difference between the politicians and the street. Coming back to your question, fortunately, we had and still have a good diplomatic relation, cultural relation. Not too big, but some economic and trade relation between Iran and Czech Republic and formerly Czechoslovakia Republic. To the best of my knowledge, there is no single negative point in our bilateral relation. Maybe, and I'm sure, Czech people, they don't share lots of those negative things I spoke about the main Western politicians. I have no too much or deep information about Czech and Czech people and Czech as a country, but I know that they also were victims of discrimination, of oppression, of occupation, similar to the current Palestinian people. And I expect them understand the current situation better than the others, maybe. That is my expectation. I know that Iranians have nice memories from the name of Czech. As a country, as a people, as a nation. Most of Iranians are familiar with the type of gun you produced in Brno. Brno is now part of Czech or Slovak? Czech. Still Czech, yes. I personally visited Prague, you pronounce Prague, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Brno, and also Bratislava. Once for a few days. I enjoyed too much. Warm, and calm people. And as I say, the Iranians keep in mind many nice and beautiful, interesting memories with that Brno. And in Iranian poetry, it is repeatedly, this name is repeatedly, you can find it repeatedly in the Iranian contemporary poetry and literature. There are many songs, many poems, many stories about Brno. It is connected with the Iranians' daily life, especially in the past century. And still we keep in mind lots of good memories from Czech.
And do you have yourself a Brno at your home?
No, unfortunately. But my grandfather had one. Yeah, my grandfather had one. Myself, no. I hope to have, again, another opportunity, maybe after my retirement, to come back again to Europe and to visit Europe, not as a diplomat, as an ambassador, but as an individual with more freedom, and to engage much more with the European people, especially to come again to Praha and Brno, and get in touch with the nice Czech people.
Okay.
Thank you.
All the best.
Yeah.
I wish all the best, not only for you and for Czech people and government, but also for all humankind. We all currently live in a small village. Our problem is yours. Yours is ours. Our success is yours. Your success and prosperity is ours. That is the way I can see the future of the world. We are more and more connected to each other.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, for interview. Děkuji moc za rozhovor, za přijetí. Děkujem, moc si toho vážíme.
Thank you very much for your conversation and for receiving us.
My pleasure.
A rádi poznáme dál váš národ, vaše lidi, vaši kulturu a vůbec rádi přispějeme přes video ke svobodné diskuzi a přátelství.
We'll be happy to deepen our knowledge of your culture, of your history, of your country, and we hope to continue to contribute more to the freedom of speech, to sharing different views through our work.
I have to appreciate your effort, personal effort, to make a different way to cover the issues.
Musí ocenit váš osobní jako přístup a vaše osobní úsilí, že udělali vlastně, že děláte takový obrovský příspěvek k tomu, aby probíhala svobodná výměna názorů.
It is appreciable that you are struggling, trying to make or to look or to cover the issues, the things from the different angle, different point of view, not necessarily within the mainstream.
Že oceňujeme vaše úsilí, že bojujete a snažíte se poskytovat jiné pohledy, než nabízí mainstream.
And as I said, I can facilitate, if you want, your contact with my friend, our ambassador in Praha, as well as through him to facilitate whenever you are interested to visit Iran, and to see.
Thank you so much.
On the ground, to see on the ground what I spoke about.
Thank you.
No, že je ochoten zprostředkovat kontakt s iránským velvyslancem v Praze a jestli máme zájem prostě zorganizovat cestu do Iránu, abychom viděli sami na vlastní oči, jako on the ground, co se děje.
Thank you. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Zdravíme moc do Brna. Mějte se krásně a ještě jednou moc děkuji za rozhovor. Thank you for your time and
We are sending greetings to Brno.
Yeah.
And once again, thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. My
Bye,
greeting to the Czech people.
Mějte se
Greeting.
krásně.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Alaikum salam.
Yeah.